Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today, Megillah Daf Ches. We're going to begin at the very top of Ches Amud Aleph by the Mishnah. Ein bein hamuder hana mechaveroi, muder mimenu meichel. There's no difference. If a person says, I'm not going to get any hana from you, or anything food-related, el drisas haregel v'kelim she'in oisim behen oichel nefesh. The only difference is drisas haregel, which is walking through someone's property. So in that situation, if you're a muder dafka on Michael, then you can go through their property. And also when it comes to borrowing kalim, which are not food related, says Rashi, mutul hashil will muder Michael, then you're allowed to borrow from them. Now Rashi also qualifies and says, v'davka b'makam shein maskirin kiyotzben, only when a person doesn't rent this out. The makam shemaskirin kiyotzben, if you rent it out, then Tanan Behedya, we learned explicitly Sha'asr. The whole Hanash, Imlo Han Huzeh, Hayimachasir Ba Pruta Hanas Michael. He Shahar Ruya Oisa Pruta Liknois Ba Michael. This is actually TB 27, it's question 13 as well. He wants us to also know Rashi. So it says, Kalim Shein Oisim Hen Oichel Nefesh. You can use, if you made Hana only against food, then you can use a kli which is not food related, but makam shein maskirin, in a place where these kalim are not rented out. Because if they are rented out, so then that already, you can take that money, and with that you can have hana, because now you don't have to buy food with your own money, now you can use this money. Okay. When it comes to food, like pots and pans, everyone agrees to that. Teresa Sarego, I will copy inchi. No one cares. Says Rashi, I might also be mother hana. So Amarava, Haman Rebelezid, Amar Vitor, a person gives up. Aser b'mudar hana, says Rashi. Vitor, davar shahaya mavater. Something that people have things that no one really cares about. Still, even though they're mavater, they like, I don't care. Nonetheless, and a person's not makbid of, still it's asur b'mudar hana. So according to this opinion, even something like this is asur b'hana. The Drisas Orego. Next Mishnah. Ein bein nedar menadavas elosh and nedar mechay b'achriusa and nedavas ein chay b'achriusa. As you know, in neder, this person says a lie. It's on me. So therefore, it doesn't make any difference if, let's say, the animal gets lost or stolen, you still are chayiv to bring another one. If you said a double, which is zoo, this, so if this animal is lost, so that's it. When it comes to Bal Ta'acher, that a person only has a certain amount of time, has a few opinions how long that is. Is it Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos, Kasidrin, Shlok Kasidrin, Dafka Sukkos, etc.? So on that, everyone agrees that they're the same. Tanan Hasam. Ezu neder Hamer Hari Olai Oila. The way that I can remember this is neder is 3 letters, Olai is 3 letters. Ezu hi nedava Hamer Harizu Oila. The person is this. Mabi nedam nedavas nedarim. As we said in the Mishnah, Meso indignavu they're stolen of the lost Chai B'Acharusin, because it's on me. Nedavas Meso indignavu of the Chai B'Acharusin, because it's the animal. So if that animal is lost, that's it. So minahan mili. The tarobanan. Pasuk says v'nirtzul l'chaper olav. Why does it say the word olav? So Reb Shimon Omer es she'olav chay b'achriyusan. Only something which is upon you are you chay b'achriyus. When you say a lie, v'she'enu olav enu chay b'achriyus. So for example, when you say zoo. So my mashma. How is that mashma from this pasuk? That's what it means. So Yitzchak bar Abdimi kivandi Omer olai. Since you said it's on me. Command toyin akasvidam. It's like it's on your shoulders. Next Mishnah. Ein bain. So we're doing all these ein bains. Ein bain zav. If you have a zav, harayish de riyos, harayish shalosh. If you have a person who sees 2 emissions from his body on one day or 2 days, which are consecutive, or for that matter, 3 times in one day, or 3 days ritzufim, or 2 days in the day, in one day and one the next day, Rashi says, there's no difference, el carbon. When it comes to seeing the 3rd time, that's when you're mechuyev a carbon. How will Indian mishkav v'maishiv, sphere shiva zev is a shaban. When it comes to the tuma of lying down, says Rashi, even if you lie on 10 garments, one on top of the other, and if I feel a naga, Rashi says, even if you don't touch the item, it's still tameh. And Sfiras Shiva, you also have to count 7 clean days before you immerse yourself in the mikvah. It doesn't make any difference if you saw twice or 3 times. And therefore, if a person would see ziva on any of those 7 days, it's saser kol haminuyin. Basically, you have to start all over. So, Rabbi Simoy Oimer Manaha Kosu Shtayim Vikar Tame Shalish Vikar Tame. So Haketzad. By seeing 2 or 3 times, the pasuk says that you're tummy anyway. So what's the difference? So it's Shtayim with Tuma, Vishalish carbon. So the third is you have a chiv carbon. Veimer Shtayim with Tuma V'lola carbon, Shalish carbon V'lola Tuma. Maybe by 2, yeah, you're tameh, you don't bring a carbon. By 3, you have to bring a carbon, you're not tameh. So Amrit, Anshlui Rosh, Shalish, Rosh Shtayim, doesn't make sense. If you saw 3, you saw 2. So if you're tameh with 2, you're still tameh. So V'emer Shtayim l'carbon V'lola Tuma, Shalish Avotoma. Maybe when it comes to the second time, you still already have to bring a carbon, but you're not tameh yet until the third. The sanya. The pasuk says, "V'chipro lav hakoyin lifnei Hashem mi zoivo." So why does it say mizoivo? So mixa zovin mavin carbon, mixa zovin in mavin carbon. So we learn out from here that sometimes you have to bring a carbon, sometimes you don't. So how do we understand that? That's only if you saw 3 times. Okay, tzad, Rosh Shalosh maybe, Shtayim in maybe. Oh, Enu Ella Ra Beis maybe. If you saw it twice, you bring a carbon. Rosh Shalosh Enu maybe. So no, Hashlo Rosh Shalosh Rosh Shtayim. If you saw 3, you saw 2, right? You saw 2. So then, well, of course, if you're chayav a carbon by 2, how come you're not going to be put? You're going to be potter on 3. We need both drushes. Dim Rav Simoy. If we learn it out from the statement of Rav Simoy, who says that mana kasa shtayim v'kar tameh shalosh v'kar tameh havamina kikushin. Maybe we would think that you have to bring a carbon even by the second one, but not by and just that you're not tameh by the second one. So kamash one mizoivai. No, mizoivo tells you that only sometimes you bring a carbon, namely the third, not the second. The mizovo lo yadana kamariyos. You wouldn't know how many times. Kamash one Rav Simoy. Since it's coming to teach us a drasha. So then what do we do with this part of the pasuk? The pasuk says the yitar hazav, when it says that the zav is tar, it means when he stops from seeing his emissions. Only from his zav, but not from touching. What does that mean? So Rashi says, first wide line, let's say a person has 2 things. He's a zav and he also has saras. And all of a sudden, he's no longer a zav. However, he still has saras. So the safar, and he's counting, we don't say to him, we don't say that he's not able to count and means nothing until he's cured and purified from his saras. He could immediately count once he stopped seeing zivus. The oil is zoiv, and he's able to again remove the zivus from him, and could just wrap him with sarasai. And then once he's healed from his saras, yitbol miyad, he can immediately go to the mikvah. Tefillah Rishon Yishel Matzara, the oil with tefillas nigai, v'zoivam in nitar. V'nitar mo'otam mishkav ma'ishav, etc. So that's what it says. It says mizoiva v'loi mizoiva v'nigai. So it's not required that you have to be completely purified from also your saras in order to start the purification from ziva. So even if you have saras, you can still do your zayin yemei nikim. Mizoiva of a safar, and you count liman al zav bal shti riyos. If you saw twice, sheton sfir shiva. So we said he still has to count. V'lodinhu charetz akav v'chaymer. If he's matama mishka v'maishav, not even touching the thing, but just lying on it, so by seeing twice, So it should be a double portion that he should also be chayav to count for 7 days. So as we continue to Chesed Beis, no, Shomeres Yoim Keneged Yoim Techiach. What's a Shomeres Yoim Keneged Yoim? So Rashi says, Haro Yoim Echad, a person sees one, so Shnayim, B'toich Achad Aser Yoim, Shebein Nida L'Nida. So between the Nidus, she counts 7 days, and then there's this 11-day period, and she sees once or twice during this time. Moini Yoim Echad B'toivelos Bo B'Yoim Techiach. So she is a Shomeres Yoim. She may have seen during her Yemei Ziva, so she just goes to the mikveh once. Shomeres Yoim Keneged Yom Techiach. Shemetam Mishka B'Maishav, even though she is able to metam Mishka B'Maishav, as it says in Mesechtas Nida, ve'ena tu'unas v'er shiva. But during this time, she's just a Shomeres Yom. She has to only count 1 day. You wouldn't necessarily know for sure that you'd be obligated to count for 7 just because you're matama tuma shiva, just because you're tama mishka v'maishav. When it comes to a zav who saw twice, lav dafka you have to do severe shiva. So Talmud Lemer mizayv v'safar mixes zayv v'safar liman al zav bal shtei riyos shishon severe shiva. So that's how we use this drasha to teach that, because you can't learn it out necessarily from a Kal V'chomer because of Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom. First wide line. Amli Rav Papa Labayis Maishna Haim Zayva Demaraviba Zav Bal Shtei Riyos. How come over there that is coming to include a zav who started 2 times, that he's matam mishka v'maishiv, and he has to count 7 days? And how come over there it's coming to exclude? So how do we understand this? So the Baal Shtei Riyos. So Amalei Isaka Daita Chaylim Miutehu. If you want to come and say it's coming to exclude, and therefore you don't need 7 days, the asalishta krabine, then the pasuk should be silent. The chitema asim medina shemeshem kenegedian tochiach. The chitema hamaboyel mezayva v'lamidigai. In kein let akra v'chiyitar hazav l'ishtaik. Mezav alamali liman al zav bal shtei re'io shaton svir shiva. Next Mishnah. Ein bein mitzayra muskar mitzar muchlat. Someone who has saras, in which we're not 100% sure his status, as opposed to his muchla, that's confirmed, this person definitely has saras. Ela priya prima. The only difference is priya prima. Says Rashi, begadav hayu perumim. The garments are rended b'roshi heperua. His hair grows. That's the only difference by a muchlat. Ein bein tar mitay chesker. Rashi says that this. What's a muchlat? After he's already been secluded, and he appears to have this simani tuma, so he's considered to be a mitzar muchlat. The only difference is when you are matamet tumas mitzar muchlat, then you have to shave your entire body, as well as you have to bring birds. As opposed to Matzar Muskar doesn't have to do that purification process. When it comes to being sent outside of the Chaymas Ha'ir, outside the walled city, outside of Machne Yisrael, Vituma, as well as the fact that you are considered to be Tameh, all the dinim of Tumah, of Atzaras, Zev Zeh Shavan. So Minahanameh, the Tanu Rab Shmuel Bar Yitzchak made a Rabbi Huna, Betihara HaKayin, it says the Kohen is pure, Misapachasi, which is referring to his saras. V'chimes Megadav, he washes his clothes. V'taher, and then he's pure. Now Taher, Mepriya Prima Demikara, it means he's pure from having to do Priya Prima from before. Says Rashi, who is this referring to? He was only locked up. He wasn't muchlat. Just wash his clothes and that's it. He was already pure from before, because he doesn't have to do priya prima. Armale Rava El Miata Gabi Zav. When it comes to a Zav, that the Zav washes his clothes and he's pure. So Hasam Maivatahar Mi Karika. Well, you want to tell me that he was really pure from before? It's not true. Ela tahar hashdam l'tam kli cheres behest. All it's coming to when it comes to a zav, he's now it's metama a kli cheres behest, just even moving the kli. Avagad the hadar chazi loy matamo mafreya. Even though it was already fit, it's not going to be matami mafreya. Hachanami, when it comes to a mitzaira, tahar hashda matama bia mafreya. When it comes to entering Lamafreya. In other words, this is not necessarily a raya, that maybe it's just coming to talk about bia, right? Matama bebia, says Rashi, Avkul and matama bebia, by entering in. That's his matama those places. However, we don't necessarily derive from here that when it comes from the word v'taher, that a person will be tahar from priya prima. El omer Rabbi Mahacha v'ha asher bo hanega misha sarata tuli begufo. It has to be the saras is on the body, which is a muchlot. Yatzazeh shin sarasa tuli begufo el biyomim. We don't know his status, so he's not certified. Rather, he's a mitzar musker, and therefore that individual is tahar from priya prima. Amli abai el miyata kol yimi asher hanega bo yitma. Maybe only they need to be sent out. We know that's not the case. Maybe that's the case that a Mitzar Musker doesn't have to be sent out of the Machanais. Everyone, when it comes to everything else, they're exactly the same. And it's not true. They also have to be sent out. Armale Yemei Kol Yemei. The fact that it says Kol Yemei is L'Rabas Mitzar Musker L'Shiluach. The fact that it says Kol Yemei, that's coming to include the Mitzar Musker, that he also has to be sent out of the Machnes. However, the rest of this drasha still stands. Ihachi Tegalachas V'Tziparayim My Time Below. So why did they not have to shave or bring the birds? Hawaii. So he'll be purified. Who? So again, this whole procedure of bringing the birds and the shaving is only someone who is going to be purified from his, he's going to have a refuah, because it's considered like verified that he's tameh, because he definitely has saras. Only that individual has to bring the birds and tegalachas, but not a musker would not have to do so. Question 14. Mitzar musker, ozav, shetavlu b'soif taharasam, le'inyan ma hani tfilasam. What does the tefillah help? Tamil mafreya, that they won't become tamil mafreya, even though they become tamil later on that day. So a masar musker a hani tfilasai lenechnasin ima babayas, that when it comes to entering into the house, we say that he's pure as far as that's concerned. Zav ahani tfilaso lehest klicheres. When it comes to moving a klicheres, that the fact that he immersed himself, that's namatamil mafreya, even though he became tummy again, boba yoim. So that is the cool, if you will. Okay. Fine. Let's see if there's any more questions. Adkan.